Right, so whenever you're looking at FTP servers and you want to find misconfigurations or vulnerabilities, what you should do is you first of all should basically enumerate. To enumerate, you can use Nmap, which is a brilliant tool. It is simple to use and one of the most popular tools when it comes to port scanning. To scan a device or a host for open ports, all you need to do is just sudo nmap svsc and the IP address, which in this case is 192.168.88.136 for me. Right, so if I let this run for about 1 minute, what you get is basically the SC flag. What it does, it enumerates basically, it runs standard scripts, right? And what you can see, it basically told us port 21 is open. It told us the version, so it's an FTP server from Windows. And it tells us as follows. It says FTP anon, anonymous FTP login allowed, which is good. And it actually tells us the contents of that FTP server. So as you can see, there is an actual file inside, which we could access possibly, right? Now, anonymous access or anonymous login to an FTP server is technically considered a vulnerability, because then you're just allowing anybody on the internet or within your network to log into the FTP server, which obviously, if you think about it, it is a big problem. Now, if an anonymous FTP access is allowed, all you need to do, now this works both on Windows and Linux, all you need to do is just type in FTP and the IP address. In this case, obviously the IP address will not work because this is my virtual machine on my LAN network. What you need to do is either set up your own and just type in anonymous and the password is anonymous. Right, now if it says anonymous access allowed and it says user logged in, you've successfully logged in. If you type in ls, it allows you to basically list files and allows you to either, if you have the correct permissions, it allows you to take, upload and whatever you could really think of, right? As I said, if you have permissions to do so. Now, another vulnerability is basically passwords and logins. So basically, if the administrator or whoever set up the FTP server hasn't changed their default credentials are basically just a default password that is set. So basically, as soon as you log in, you're supposed to change it. Weak credentials are another problem, is by they set their own password or their own username, but it's just too weak. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll demonstrate to you why you should never ever have weak passwords on your services. And for this purpose, for this scenario, we're going to use Hydra. Hydra is basically a brute forcing tool that allows you to brute force RDP, SSH, FTP, so services like that. Hydra L. Now I'm going to specify the user. Now the reason I'm going to specify user is just because it'll take too long, right? So I'm just going to use a user and we're going to try to guess the password, right? All you need to do is just Hydra L, which specifies the user, big P, which specifies the word list. Now Roku is a very big word list that contains passwords, and FTP, that basically is just the IP address and the protocol, right? So we're just going to press enter and it should take about a couple seconds to a maximum of a minute to brute force the password. Now that took about a minute, and as you can see, what it has managed to is within a minute has managed to guess a password, right? So the hacker and the password is I love you 123. Now this password obviously is not the strongest, but the purpose of me just showcasing this is that if you use very easy credentials, it will take a very little time to actually brute force this and possibly get access to the system. Now coming back to actual weak credentials and anonymous access, if you allow basically anybody to connect to your FTP server, as I said, that's a vulnerability, because what I can do right now is what I've just done is I've uploaded basically just a virus or a reverse shell, which allows me remote access, right? As you can see here. Now this is just to showcase to you guys that this is obviously possible and the attacks that can be done with this, right? Obviously you could also make an exe file that could be hidden. They could change the name, like if a hacker was to get access to your FTP server, they could change the name of the file. There's so many things they could do, right? But this is just an example so you guys understand what I'm talking about. So I've uploaded a reverse shell, right? Which is extremely simple, right? All you need to do is just put and you need to put the file, which in this case is just put reverse shell. And I've started a listener. Now, if I come back to Windows, and obviously what I've done is just open the directory. Now, if I execute this file, which is basically what I'll do right now. So if I just execute this file with the terminal, so the Python and win reverse shell, what it's done is basically, as you can see, nothing has happened. And what I've just done, if I come back to Kali now, is I've just given myself remote access. So if I type in who am I, as you can see, cool kid. If I type in ls, it'll list the files, right? So I am basically a god because I can do whatever I want right now. Easy peasy and very dangerous. Now you will ask, okay, well, what do I need to do actually to prevent, and basic measures to prevent myself getting hacked? Well, obviously do everything in reverse, like what I just showed you. So don't put any easy credentials, disable anonymous access, put it on a high port, and obviously make sure that you don't allow permissions to just random users. So I'll show you how to do this right now. If you come to your FTP server and FTP authorization, or whatever you really have. It could be other software that you can have. And make sure that you obviously change the permissions. As you can see, I've just disabled it right now, but by default, all users have read and write access. You need to disable write access and just leave it as read, or change it to other users, like just give it to administrators or special users, right? There's obviously much more things that you can do, but this is like the basics. I'll show you right now that you actually can't upload a malicious file anymore. Right, so I'll just show you right now. So if I put desktop and I put WinRiver as you can see, access is denied and I cannot access the file, or sorry, upload the file anymore. Now, also one important thing is to make sure your software is updated, because... Alright, so that'll be it for this video. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, comment, and please don't forget to also check my other videos, which should be somewhere on the screen. If not, then go to my playlists.